Anyway, we talked about this a lot. I think it's time for review number 4. It's going to start with Josh. But Matt, why don't you go ahead and run the numbers for us?
So this is Men at Work's Business as Usual, coming in at number 290 in the 1980s on Best Ever Albums, number 25 in 1981, number 1,820 of all time, and Men at Work come in at number 1,200 of overall artists in Best Ever Albums. And again, this did not make Rolling Stone's list. So John, is this a John special, or where are we getting this?
No, this was on the 1,001 albums.
1,001. Okay, There you go.
Yep.
Yeah. I was mildly surprised by this album. I thought it was a pleasurable listen. Obviously, the big hits on it, which are massive, are "Who Can It Be Now" and "Down Under," and those, I think, at one point were overplayed for me. But when I've come back to them in the context of this album, I really enjoyed them, and they're really strong songs. Men at Work are interesting. They're kind of like a new wave band, almost like a new wave Australian band or something, with an Australian viewpoint to new wave. And the lead singer, his voice is really good. I really like that, strong, and the saxophone is a big part of this album and a core component to this band, and I really like that. There's definitely some 80s kind of beat to this album on a song like Underground, or maybe People Just Love to Play with Words, something like that on those songs. And then I also like the guitar on this, on a song like I Can See It in Your Eyes. They almost kind of remind me at Dire Straits at times, the way I don't know, something about the way they play the guitar reminds me of Dire Straits from that one album that we've listened to. I think they're coming up next week, actually, so we'll see how similar they are. But also, I like the guitar on something like Touching the Untouchables, which the guitar, there's kind of like a fast guitar breakdown on that. But overall, it's not knowing anything outside of the 2 hits. I thought it was a pretty solid album. They seem to have a distinct identity, at least in this album. You can kind of, if I heard other songs, I bet I could tell a Men at Work song now, maybe based on listening to this album, and I can kind of see why they became popular. They're a little different than the other kind of mainstream rock that was out there at the time, and I appreciate the sound of it. I think the lyrics, I kind of half paid attention to the lyrics this time on this one, and some of it is silly, but some of it's pretty good.
Okay, Matt?
Yeah, I like this too. I would say that actually I knew 3 songs, not just the 2, but what is it? "Be Good Johnny."
Oh,
that
really?
was a song that I had heard. I don't know why or where. Probably on the radio somehow, but I definitely recognize that chorus from that. I will say first and foremost, I found myself liking the singles, particularly "Who Can It Be Now" and "Down Under." Probably liking and appreciating those much more. With these listens this week. Those are great, really great pop songs, and just so many. There's interesting sounds there. And I like stuff like the saxophone and I don't know if it's a flute.
I think it's a flute.
Something like that. They just, kind of instruments that don't necessarily always find themselves in, top 20 hits or whatever. I guess they did a little bit more in the 80s, but I just thought that they were really well used. I Can See It in Your Eyes was a song I did not know. I loved that song. That's got a great chorus. It's another one of those it's like an earworm. I love the tone of the guitar. I don't know if I was thinking Dire Straits, but I kind of see what you're saying. It's just got a crisp, clean guitar sound, like the production with it. That's just I really like that song. And so I think the first 3 songs are easily the best part of this record. And there's some interesting stuff going on here. There's definitely, the new wave is a good way of putting it. There's some reggae in here. Like Catch a Star's got kind of like this offbeat or this upbeat reggae kind of thing going on. There's some of this that goes a little bit into the to the jamming, kind of realm a little bit. Touching the Untouchables has a little bit of a guitar riff that I could see. It's not like they take it. They're not really a jam band by any stretch, but like there are some grooves in here that I could see being translated into more of a jam if they were so inclined. Maybe they actually did that during a live performance. I know some bands do that. They'll take like a 3-minute song and they'll expand it when they play it live. Down by the Sea, I thought had some like 90s. Some of the stuff has like that 90s alt rock kind of sound to it as well. So overall, like this, quite a bit. I do like Colin Hayes' voice. I think that's true, Josh. It's a unique sound. It's him. He's kind of got that distinct voice. It's him right away. This was I'm not surprised that I liked it. I'm surprised that there were elements of it that I found myself liking so much and respecting more. So I'm thumbs up with this. This was a good listen for me.
Yeah, I like this album too. I think I was a little surprised about the totality of the sound like you guys were. I did not expect it to be as much of a new wave album. The clear thing that I drew that I had no idea was how much this sounded like the English Beat and Madness, two of the ska bands that later became like, pop staple bands, even like what they're singing about. It's just kind of like instead of singing about English life, which was what Madness and English Beat, sang about. But immediately with the horn, and it's so funny. You've heard these singles so often that you almost forget that there's this horn. Like there's horn, but you don't process it because you think of the chorus and you sing a lot, and it's like oh yeah, there's horn all over this damn album. You know what I mean? And in those songs too. Like how was I not putting this together? But I think it's because I was exposed to Men at Work as like, big 80s hits, and
almost
Men
like
at Work, who can it be now?
Right.
So it wasn't, like they're the Australian guys that had these things, and wasn't that cool so I didn't really think of them in the context of like the new wave movement, or like, there are some reggae-ish elements to this that I can immediately pick up in a band like The Police, for example, but like somehow wasn't getting from them. And like when I think about it, like, Down Under or Who Can It Be Now could absolutely have been written by like Madness or the English Beat, two bands I've listened to a ton in my life and enjoy. So it's kind of, and even later, Josh, like the third wave ska, right? It doesn't sound like, but like the lyrical content, like what those are writing about, like, mundane, like Orange County life, right? And there's some of that here. It's just the same kind of concept there was what I was thinking about. But the first half of the album is much stronger than the second half. I think it's like it goes to like Be Good Johnny, and then it kind of falls off a little bit. I would say the last 3 tracks quite a bit. The Down by the Sea, I don't know if Men at Work should be making 7-minute songs. I just don't think that's their lane, and God bless them, but like I wouldn't do that. But yeah, Matt, the revelation for me is I Can See It in Your Eyes was a really tight, good new wave song. It was a good new wave song. It wasn't like at that high level of new wave like a Blondie, right, where it's like this is as good as even the B-52s, right? But it was in sort of that lane where it's like this is a real solid new wave, and I like real solid new wave tracks. Underground was of its time. It is definitely a song from 1981. That doesn't mean though that it was unenjoyable. And People Just Love to Play with Words was another one that I enjoyed. Like you, Matt, I recognize Be Good Johnny, but I don't know how I knew it. So I racked my brain to figure it out. So I feel like it has to be in some sort of movie or pop culture touch point that both you and I... It's got to
be on the radio, like maybe XM radio or something.
Or something, we both listened to the Channel 33, right?
Okay.
The first wave or something, and that might have been how I gleaned it.
I doubt this is it, but apparently it was used as the theme song of the American version of the reality TV program Super Nanny also. So I don't know if you were a fan
I don't know
of
if
that.
that's right. I think it's more like Matt and I have Sirius and go to the same thing. We might have just both. It's also by far the third most played song on Spotify, so there's got to be something to that too. But this one's a thumbs up for me. I enjoyed this. It's funny. I never in a million years would I say, if somebody asked me about Men at Work, I'd say, well, a new wave band that has reggae elements with pop sensibility. I would have gotten number 3, but I don't know if I would have gotten to 1 and 2. So that's the cool thing about this album. It re-centers lazy narratives. And I now have a less lazy narrative of Men at Work.
It's also, I would add a really like clean clean production, clean sounding album. You can hear everything crisply and distinctly, and it's really well mixed, I think.
Absolutely. So it sounds like 3 thumbs up across the board.
Yeah.
And remarkably similar reactions from the 3 of us. And we don't talk
Yeah.
about this ahead of time. So